This is a setup, nerds, for possibly the fiddliest of the experiments we have to do. So, of course, because I'm setting it up, you won't have any of the difficulty. I'll say, generally speaking, students do horribly at this experiment because it requires a high degree of care to get it to work. So the principle of setting up the Fraunhofer diffraction pattern we discussed in the light science course, so I won't go over that again. But in practice, getting everything aligned exactly right is the tricky part of this experiment. And if you sense a degree of frustration in my voice, it's because this bench here that I'm showing you was abandoned last year in March when the lockdowns first started, nearly a year ago. Yeah, and the students who set it up just basically really messed up and damaged a lot of the equipment. So I've just spent probably about 20 minutes, disconnecting and taking apart and kind of fixing all the things they broke with their carelessness. So basically what I'm going to do, I'll get the experiment working today so that you can see it, and then I'm going to look at student records, get the address of all our third years, and then go around their houses just kind of, using old Marie Curie and Sir Isaac Newton to exact brutal vengeance upon them, because I think that's the only sensible thing to do. So if we go through the components briefly, you can see here we've got a laser, which is, straightforwardly enough a laser. We also have a couple of kind of different lenses we're going to put into the system. So this is our microscope eyepiece, and this here is our pinhole lens. You won't be able to see it because you can barely see it with the naked eye, but you can just maybe see that gap in the reflection where the hole is. So just a tiny scratch hole in that. We have a couple of lenses here that we're going to use to meet those characteristics of the Fraunhofer diffraction pattern that we've spoken about before. And then I just have a couple of, so these are kind of lens holders, so you can kind of squeeze these and they open out. They'll hold the lens. And a couple of these, which I'm just going to use, they're honestly, they just grip things. So I'm going to use one to grip a screen that I'm going to project the images on, and I'm going to use the other to hold the diffraction objects I'm going to put in place. And finally, this is my screen. One thing you'll note, of course, is I said that the laser had to be aligned, and if you look along the bench at the moment, you'll see there's a dot just on the wall. So you can hopefully see that there. I'm just going to point to it. I got caught in a rainstorm coming in today, which is why I look soaked, if you can kind of see that. What should be obvious to you is that the laser is not at all vertically aligned at the moment, so the beam's just shining kind of, I'd say, about 15-20 degree angle vertically. So the first part of the experiment is just going to be fixing that. So I've put the screen in place here, and now I'm just going to, because it's a fairly thick bit of cardboard and we want to be able to reuse it, I'm just going to take a little piece of paper that I very clumsily cut out. So you see very ragged edges there. I'm just going to tape it to the screen. One time I did something very similar to a photo of myself. Jeff made a board for us, for all the staff members in the physics department, where we had to put our faces in case, so that students would know who we are and kind of find us a friendly department. And friendliness, of course, is a thing I'm not interested in, but I also hate having my face anywhere, which is why you won't find many pictures of me any place. So I taped over the picture of myself with a photo of John Hamm. And a colleague tattled on me and Jeff called me into his office and asked, Ross, why did you deface the stuff board? It was big trouble for me, big trouble. All right, so now we can see there's the dot on the screen. If I move the screen up, we can check the parallelization of the beam. So you can see there visibly that the laser dot is moving, but just to make that clear, I'm going to draw with a pen a little cross on this. So we've now got a cross just on the thing, and again, if you view this in the high res option on YouTube, it will probably be more visible. So I'll zoom in a second. So what you can see is we've just moved a little bit down, so it's dropped a little below, and it looks a little to the right. Wait, no, sorry, to the left of the cross. So when I move this back down here to the other end of the bench, so when I move it down to the end of the bench, it's centered again. So what I need to do is just bring this screen up again, and then just finely adjust the laser until it's aligned. So I'm going to do that now. And one of the, so horizontally, I just need to very slightly shift it. And vertically, I can adjust using this screw underneath. So I'm just going to do that there. Very small adjustments are usually the way to go with this. Because if you make big honking ones, then yeah, it tends to throw everything out of alignment. So let's move our screen again and see how we're doing. Okay, so it's now centered there, which is of course because I physically moved it, so it was centered there. I'm just going to send this down there, and you see it's moved just a little too high. So the nice thing is, and again it's maybe going to be a little difficult to see from this far away, but the nice thing is that it stayed horizontally centered, but vertically it's a little too high now, so I just need to again finely adjust. So again, I'm just going to make a tiny adjustment. There we go. And that should cover us. Now we're centered at the bottom again. I'm just going to move this up. Yeah. And we're centered at the top too. So that's our laser beam aligned parallel to the optical bench, which is the first part that we want to get right. So I'm going to make sure not to touch the laser again now, and we can move on to the next bit.